Today with this grandmother, you will learn about how to improve communication and understanding in relationships. If you want to discover the best advice a grandmother could give you, stay until the end of the video. If you enjoy this type of video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss more videos like this. I remember that when we were children and we fought between brothers, he would never intervene immediately. He would sit us down and listen to us patiently until we finished talking. Only then would he give us his advice, and believe me, his words had a weight that calmed our souls. From this teaching I learned that communication is not just talking, it is above all listening. Do you know how many couples wear themselves out because they do not understand each other? Not because they do not love each other, but because they do not take the time to listen to what the other really feels. And I am not just talking to you about words, son, because sometimes silence also has something to say. Observe your partner, look at his gestures, his tone of voice, his gaze. There you will find many answers. I also want to talk to you about the bad thing about expecting everything to come from the other. Love is not a monologue, it is a constant dialogue. If you want to be understood, you must also be willing to understand. Years ago, I met a neighbor who had a long and apparently happy marriage. But one day she sat down with me and said, "It seems that I am the only one who makes an effort in this relationship." Her sadness broke my heart because she gave so much, but her husband had settled, always expecting to receive without giving anything in return. Don't be that person, son. If you want your relationship to flourish, do your part every day without excuses. And speaking of excuses, let me tell you something else. The bad thing about postponing important things is that life passes and opportunities go away. Many times I hear couples say, "Later we will take that trip. There will be time to talk about that. One of these days we will fix things." But you know what? That one of these days doesn't always come. Something is important to you or your partner, do it now. Tell her today how much you love her. Try to resolve those conflicts that have been left hanging in the air, and don't let time deepen the distance. I also want to tell you about the bad thing about competing in a relationship. There are couples who, without realizing it, become rivals instead of partners. They strive to prove who is right, who does more, who is stronger. But in love there is no room for competition. My husband and I were very different. He was practical and calm, while I was a dreamer and somewhat impulsive. Instead of fighting over our differences, we learned to complement each other. He taught me to see things calmly, and I showed him how to enjoy the small pleasures in life. Together we were a team, not adversaries. And this brings me to another reflection. The bad thing about not valuing differences. Many couples fall into the trap of trying to change the other, thinking that if they were more like them, everything would be easier. But son, let me tell you that the magic of love lies in those differences. Accepting and celebrating what makes your partner unique is one of the keys to building a strong and lasting relationship. Sure, there will be things that can be improved over time, but always from respect and acceptance. Now let me tell you about the bad thing about forgetting the details. Sometimes we think that love is an immense feeling that does not need to be demonstrated, but that is not true. Love is fueled by small and significant acts. One day when I was young, I caught a terrible cold, and my husband, instead of going to work, stayed home. He did nothing extraordinary, he just made tea, arranged the blankets, and made sure I was comfortable. That gesture, so simple, made me feel more loved than any expensive gift or grandiose declaration. I also want to remind you of the bad thing about not taking care of yourself. In a relationship, It is easy to fall into the idea that everything should revolve around the other person, but that is not the case. If you want to discover the best advice a grandmother could give you, stay until the end of the video. If you enjoy this type of video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss more videos like this. If you do not take care of yourself, if you do not value yourself, it will be difficult for you to give your best. Make sure you grow as a person, pursue your dreams, and maintain your physical and emotional well-being. A healthy relationship is one where both people are independent, but choose to share their life from fullness, not from necessity. Finally, son, I want to talk to you about the bad thing about forgetting the purpose of love. Love is not just company, nor just passion, nor just habit. Love is a motor, something that drives us to be better, to build together, to face life with more strength. Always remember why you chose your partner and allow him, her to remind you why she chose you. When both of you have that purpose in mind, it will be much easier to overcome any obstacle. So there you have my reflections based on the years, on the joys and the tears, on the mistakes and the successes. I hope my words serve as a guide on your path, and that you always remember that love, even though it is sometimes complicated, is one of the most beautiful gifts that life gives us. Cultivate it, take care of it, and enjoy it. And if you ever have doubts, remember that I will be here with all the love of this grandmother to give you advice or simply listen to you. And finally, my son, I want to leave you with one last thought, one that I consider the most important of all. The bad thing about not being grateful. In life, and especially in a relationship, gratitude is a seed that never stops bearing fruit. Be grateful for every small gesture, every kind word, every shared moment. Be grateful even for the differences, because they help you grow and understand the person at your side more deeply. We often take for granted what we have. But I assure you that if you begin to see each day as a gift, your heart will be filled with peace and love. A relationship is not perfect, and no one is exempt from making mistakes. But the simple act of recognizing and valuing the other's effort is an act that strengthens the bond. Remember that love is not about being perfect, but about being authentic. It is about learning to share life with someone else, with all that that implies. The joys, the sorrows, the challenges, and the triumphs. It is about building something together with patience and dedication, but above all with respect and empathy. I leave you with this final piece of advice. Love with all your heart, but never forget to love yourself too. When you value yourself, when you recognize your own worth, it is easier to offer the best of yourself to others. And in love, son, the best of you is the only thing that really matters. I hope these words accompany you in your days, like a gentle breeze that reminds you that you can always grow, learn, and build deeper and more meaningful relationships. Life is not always simple, but with love, understanding, and respect, it can be much more beautiful than you imagine. And now, go and apply what we have talked about. Be the partner, the friend, and the person you truly want to be. Because, at the end of the day, that is what makes the difference. With all my love, son, I wish you the best in this beautiful and sometimes complicated journey that is life. Take care of yourself and those you love. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel to see more content like this. Leave a comment to share your opinion, and we'll take it into account for future videos.